Right, and that connects us very, very well into how we're going to start the podcast in a bit more detail. As part of this series of podcasts, we're asking our guests to ask a question for the next guest that's going to be on. And I've been out the last couple of days actually with somebody who's joined our team, who's a sort of fresh from education, from school, and a conversation I've been having with a lot of my customers and potential customers over the last few years is that this is an aging sort of industry, and I'm a lot of the people that I compete against. I'm kind of one of the youngest, and it's a bit frightening to think that. So there is definitely an opportunity to try to get some young blood into the industry. And the question that was asked at our last podcast by Gavin Blakemore from Plockmatic, he asked, what would you suggest, or what do you think we can do to try to encourage the next generation, if you like, into this industry?
Well, first of all, thanks for that, Gav. Me and Gav are good friends, and that's a super easy question to start off with. So I think if we look at the hard reality of this, the print industry at one time, not that long ago, 20 years ago, still had a pretty much industrialized program to bring the next generation into our industry through apprenticeships, schools, colleges, specific university courses.
Postgrad schemes.
Then, to cut long story short, you then had the massive digital boom. Everyone got excited by the bright, shiny baubles on the tree, and huge amounts of higher education institutions and the central government decided that print was old-fashioned and pulled the plug on huge numbers of this, and it all really imploded. So what it then left was manufacturers, OEMs, and it really spurred a huge amount of development towards automation, because quite early on, a lot of the OEMs realized that they could no longer rely on having machinery that took huge amounts of technical knowledge and skill to run. So you ended up with green button philosophy, where now you need, a couple of days training to run one of these machines. As long as you can use a computer and you actually have, enough fingers on your hand, you can literally press go and that's it. So that then kind of ate its own tail a little bit, because you then have a situation where you don't actually need all of those apprenticeships and training programs and everything else that are out there exposing the next generation to print and bringing them in. So it was a solution to a problem that was critical and necessary, but it has then left us without the need for these high-level training programs. Yep. I think the solution is already happening, and there are lots of good initiatives in lots of different places. If I look at initiatives that some of our fellow trade associations have going, PICON has a very well-developed initiative in this area with its members to incentivize the recruitment of the next generation and provide payback for that. The BPIF has a very well-developed training program. For us, our most direct experience in this area was that we were a government gateway for the Kickstart scheme. And we were actually one of the first 5 gateways in the United Kingdom to get onto that scheme during COVID. Just to remind everyone quickly, that was where you could effectively bring someone between 18 and 24 into your business, and the government would pay their wages for 6 months. Yep. And then you got a £2,500 grant towards training, equipment, and whatever to support them. Now, what that told us, by the end of that, we had 180 people in that demographic. I had placed them in jobs in the printing industry. Out of those 180, today, over 90 are still in full employment in the print industry and have been promoted. So they started off somewhere. Now, what that tells me is that our industry has no issue with young people enjoying our industry. We've got over a 50% retention rate from that cohort. Yep. And they got involved, they got engaged, they moved on up in those companies, and talking to a lot of them today, they are more involved than ever and want to progress and want to stay in this industry for the rest of their career. So we don't have an issue with our industry being exciting to be in. It's just, how do we expose it? I'd point to a program, Young People in Print, that's actually headed up by one of our council members, Elizabeth Bauman. She's built that initiative off her own back, got a lot of people involved and interested in it. It's really important, and they've already done their first nationwide outreach to schools, colleges, getting printers to open their doors and do tours of their factories to just expose.
Yeah.
But where we need to get to is, if you look at something like the Pharmaceutical Association, their budget is something like £500,000 a year. They have a single part of their organization that is responsible for exposing the next generation to the pharmaceutical industry and all the ephemera of jobs that are in it. Because they faced a crisis about 10 years ago because they saw a slump in young people coming in. They've solved that now. They've got a great supply of the next generation coming in, but that's the kind of funding level that is required. And they are in every single university, giving lectures at every secondary school. They're at every jobs fair across the nation, making sure that their industry is up in lights and seen as an opportunity. So that's where we need to get to.
Thank you for that answer to that question. Very, very detailed.